Welcome back to Click Brand Snap. I'm Joni Howe from Mint Hill Photography, and I'm here today with
Amanda Rowe from Amanda Rowe Marketing.
and we have a very special guest for you today. Amanda, would you like to introduce our very special guest?
I would. Today we have Glenn Milliet. He is a renowned business communication expert. He is here to share insights into his upcoming presentation at the American Hair Loss Conference and delve into the powerful role of communication plays in branding and business success. Welcome, Glenn.
Good morning. It is such a pleasure to be here, and I am honored that you both have invited me to share some information with your amazing viewers.
We're excited to have you.
We are so excited to have you.
Yes.
Well,
So let's dive right in.
yeah, let's do it.
You're set to speak at the American Hair Loss Conference later in September,
Correct.
which is a major event for industry leaders. Can you give us a sneak peek into what you'll be discussing there?
Sure. And let me give you a little bit of information about the American Hair Loss Conference. The American Hair Loss Conference, it's an annual event, and it's for people who work in the hair restoration industry. Now, most people focus very much on their technical skills, being a great photographer, for example, or being a great hairdresser, right? Or being a great attorney or a great doctor. Two areas that most people are challenged in, though, is do you have the business skills to run your operation? And even more importantly, how well do you communicate, connect, and then close conversations with your prospect, your client, your patient, or a loved one that produces a positive call to action? So I'm going to be talking about the power of communication in transforming people's lives. And one of the keys of communication skills, using stories that deliver your message. And I coach this all the time. If I have a choice between giving statistics or sharing a story, I'm going to give the story because nobody really cares about statistics, and very few people will remember your statistics the minute they walk out of your room. But when it's a great story, and a really great story, they not only enjoy it, they retell it to other people. So we're going to be talking about communication skills, branding, and oh my God, what is a brand if not a story?
Yes.
Right? So that's part of what we're going to talk about.
That sounds fascinating. You're right. Storytelling is a very powerful tool, and Joni and I can attest to, and you can as well. If you're not telling a story about anything, your products that you're selling, your business, they're not going to remember you. And
Exactly.
the story, the brand, it all goes hand in hand. And that's what we want to achieve on this podcast. And that's why we're glad to have you on here today, speaking about storytelling and the brand.
Sure. It's interesting we talk about storytelling because let's take Joni, right? Joni's a photographer, and every picture tells a story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And whether you think of it as a picture or a piece of artwork, could be a Rembrandt, could be a Picasso, could be whomever you like. Every picture and every photo has an entry point where the eye goes. Then it has a content, and then what does it have? It has an
ending.
It has an ending, right? It has an exit. So when we talk about a story, what do we have? We have once upon a time in a land far, far away. Dun, 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 dun. And they all lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
So when we are communicating with a client, a prospect, or as I said, a loved one, we tell the story. Now, what's really important is when we tell the story, we want to use words that create the proper image in the mind of the listener. Now, that's important because, see, we all speak words, but we see an image in our head. Right. So if I were to tell you, oh my gosh, I'm looking out my window and there's a white horse running down the street. Well, whether there is or isn't, did you see the letters HORSE?
Of course not.
Of course not, right?
White horse.
Yes.
You see the white horse. Now, if you're really special, you might have saw a unicorn, right?
Or carriage.
Some of the special people. So that is the point. Now, not only do we want to use words that create images, We want to use words that the listener relates to. So when I'm coaching, I work with my clients before they say about themselves is to ask questions about the other person. See, one must be an information getter before one can be an information giver. You know, we've all had the situation where someone wants to sell us something. And I call those folks eye doctors because they start off with, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that, I do this, and I do that. But the reality is, I don't care what you do if I'm not interested in purchasing. Whereas someone who is skilled in communication, uh, let's take Joni, because photography is huge. And having a background in the hair industry, I've worked with some of the major photographers in the industry when we're doing hair work. But the question would be, if I were doing what Joni does, is I would ask the client, have you ever worked with a photography image expert before? Well, the answer is either yes or no. You ever worked with a photographic expert before? Yes or no? Well, if the answer is no, then your second question is, what held you back? And there are only 4 things that hold most people back from moving forward in anything. I'm going to give them to you right now. Time. Well, I really wanted to do it, but I didn't have the time. Cost. Well, I really know I need a great headshot for my business cards, but I'm afraid it might be too expensive.
Mhm.
Number 3, clarity. That's knowledge. Right. Well, I don't know. Do you think I really need a headshot on my business card? And number 4, support. Well, I told my partner we need photos on all of our brochures, but he said, you're stupid. We don't need it. That's support. Right. So again, you go back. Have you ever worked with? So that's one level of questioning, right? That's like swimming on top of the water.
Mhm.
But the second question is, what held you back? Oh, now we got a little snorkel. We can look down and see, right? But this is important. The deeper you dive in discovery, the more emotional their decision to purchase what you sell or what you'd like them to do becomes. So think of it like this. Your first question is swimming. Your second question, you got a little snorkel. But your third question is where you strap on the aqua lung, because now you can dive all the way down to the pirate ship and get the gold. Because if you don't go deep, you don't get the gold. Does that make sense? All right, so let's go back to the question. Have you ever worked with a photography expert before? And they say, well, yeah, I've had my picture taken before. All right, here's the second question. Based on your experience working with the average photographer, what would you have changed about the experience? What would have made the photography experience better for you? Well, they said I'd have my photos in 7 days and it took them 2 weeks. And they quoted me one price when I went in, and then, they quoted me a different price when I came to pick up my photos. And, they said that they were going to do the retouch and include it, but they didn't. They upcharged me on it. I already know exactly what to talk about now. So I would say to that person, I said, well, let me share, like when you work with Joni and her photography company, why you'll never have that challenge. First of all, we're going to guarantee your photos on a certain day, or you don't pay. We're going to have a written agreement that says that touch up is included. See, it's not hard, but one must be an active listener before they speak. So I simply put it this way. You must listen to learn, and from what you learn, you earn. So that's a little bit, that's just a touch of what we're going to cover in Chicago. And, I'm sorry, in Dallas. I'll be in Dallas for that.
So you'll also be talking about the art of persuasion communication, leveraging storytelling to elevate your brand. And
Yep.
I love that you'll be focusing on that because, and I've noticed with a lot of people on social media, they're posting to keep their name out there and they're not being intentional about it. They're not focusing on what their brand solves. They're not focusing on sharing what their brand does for their audience and they're not keeping their audience in mind when they're posting, they're in a rush to get the information out. They're in a rush to, I got to get this done. So it's just a check box. Yep, social was done. Yep, this was done. And it's not telling the story, and they're not connecting their brand to it. So I love that you're going to be talking about that at the conference, because I think a lot more people need to understand how storytelling is important with your marketing, with
Yes.
image, with photography. Oh, a picture speaks 1,000
Thousand
words.
words, exactly.
And if you don't
Sure.
have the right imagery to go along with your social or with your message or your brand, it's all going to fall apart because it's not going to make sense.
Yeah, and I love what you said, and it sparked so many thoughts in my brain. One of which is, well, there are three key elements in being a powerful communicator. Three: verbiage, the words, right? But the words are only 7%. This is research. 7% of being a powerful communicator is the word. Now, the words are 7%, but that's a big, full, gusto, rich 7%. 38% of being a powerful communicator is the tone of the voice. 38%. Now, you might say, well, so what? Because between birth and age 7, all of us and our listeners were programmed to believe that a deeper voice, male or female, is the voice of authority.
Mhm.
Deeper voices close more sales. Now, here's the big one: visual messaging, how I engage my body, how I use my hands, where I look, 55% of successful communication is visual. Well, what is photography? What is video, if
Mhm.
not visual? Now, when you can combine video and audio,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. So there's the verbiage, right? And then there's the video. Now, when we talk about storytelling, here's a test or a fun exercise you folks can do. When you watch TV tonight and you're watching a story, turn off the volume. Can you still tell what the story is? Just by the visual messaging of the actors, what's going on. Now let's talk about brand. Oh my God, brand. I did a presentation the other day, and one of my PowerPoint slides was a picture of William Shakespeare. And it said, to brand or not to brand. There
Love it.
is no question.
No.
Now, so let me explain why I talk about brand. And I do expert branding when I'm working with a client. One of the first things we do is we create an expert brand position. Now, I want to explain that. Why expert? Why not authority? Why not specialist? Because going back to birth and age 7, we got programmed to believe that there's a lot of authorities, there's a lot of specialists, but there's only one expert.
Mhm.
And listen close. In the subconscious brain of the human mind, nobody wants to buy the second best.
Mm-mm.
No.
All right. Now, you know, my background is in the beauty industry, and I can tell you almost 50 years in the beauty industry, and I have never seen a salon run an ad that says, hey, we do the second best haircuts in town.
Yeah.
All right. All right. We're the second best steakhouse. We're the second best car. We're the second. No. So we are programmed to believe, what's the best? I want to buy the best. I deserve the best. Hey, if I need open heart surgery, I don't want the second best. I want the
Oh,
best, right?
no.
All
No.
right.
I
No.
want the first
All right.
bit.
So,
Yeah.
so understand that a brand is that which separates us, you, me, our listeners, in the mind of our bullseye market client. Notice I didn't say target. There's a whole different thing about that, but we'll say bullseye target market client from our competition. Let me explain. When a prospective client wakes up tomorrow morning and they know that they want to purchase social media skills that Amanda can possess, or photography skills that Taylor possesses, or communication skills, here's my question: will they think of us first, second, or tragically, not at all? Now, if you go on Google and you type in, tire stores in your area, it gives you 3. After that, at the bottom, it says more options. We don't want to be in more options. We want to be in the top 3. So that is the power of branding. Now, let's talk about brand. Brand is not the name of your company. See, the name of the company is only important to the guy who owns the company.
Mhm.
Glenn's hair salon is only important to Glenn. Bobby's body shop is only important to Bobby.
Mhm.
Now, when we talk about brand creating position, I need tires. And I see something that says tire experts. Where do you think I want to go?
Mhm.
Right. So that's the brand. We want to create an expert brand because we want to own first place in the mind of the target market client. Great. That's part of marketing. Would you agree?
I agree.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right. So let's play. What is the purpose of marketing?
Get attention.
Close. Make the phone ring.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right? Make the phone ring. Now, here's the big question. Who's answering the phone? And can that person who answers the phone guide the client to come into the store? And when the client shows up at the store, can the sales representative communicate, connect, close the conversation that produces a positive call to action on the part of the listener? Now, this is big. I don't sell, I close. I'm going to say it again. I don't sell, I close. And we're going to play again. What is selling? Selling or solving, because we solve problems and we get paid for it. Selling is the transfer of emotion. Selling is the transfer of emotion. We all buy stuff that we believe will make us happy. Exactly. And why do we buy something to make us happy? Because we got something that's making me unhappy. You know, I get in my car and it won't start. Oh, I get in my car in the middle of the summer and the air conditioner doesn't work. Oh,
Yeah.
I get in my car and the tires losing air. Oh, what do I say to myself? I need a new car. Now, let's talk cars. What's going to make you happy? You can get the Toyota, you can get the Ferrari, you can get the Rolls Royce. Now, you say, well, yeah, but one's more expensive than the other. That's true. But the brain says, I deserve the Ferrari and I will save my money and buy my car. So branding, and I'll make you laugh. Branding started off branding cattle, right? Branding started off branding cattle. We marked
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
belongs to me. But in today's world, we don't brand. The consumer tells us we are a brand.
Mhm.
Now, here's the keys of branding. Branding creates connecting,
Yes.
confidence, a sense of belonging, a sense of value. Oh, and here's the big one, trust.
Mhm.
Trust. And here's the point. Every one of those words is an emotion. You can't see a brand. You can't see it. I can see a logo. That's not a brand.
No.
I can see your product. It's not a brand. A brand is a belief. And going back to the psychology of selling, psychology of the sale, which I have a whole 10-point list on that. You want to own first place in the mind of your target market client. And when you don't have a brand, you're just a person that does a job that a lot of other people do. So if you want to increase your sales and revenue, you want to target high value clientele. You want to dominate in your niche market industry. You'll never do it without a brand. And that brand is marketing, which I know, Amanda, you're amazing at working with that. But that is to get the phone to ring so that they reach out, and then we work with them on communication skills, right? Even with my own clients, there isn't a client of mine when they start off with me that I don't go through their marketing product. I'll look at their website. I'll look at their business card, and I'll say, okay, first of all, you're going to hook up with my friend Joni, and you're going to get out and get a photo done, because you're not going to put anything out there that doesn't have your photo on it.
exactly.
Right now, even if they, I don't like how I look. It's like, not important whether you like how you look. See, and I'll give you this, Joni. A good friend of mine is the former president of the American Photography Association. And we were talking one day, and over lunch, and I said, you know what photography is? He said, what? I said, photography is memory insurance,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
right? Now, look, I'm not a young guy, and the older I get, the more I forget. But every time I look at that picture, I go, oh, I remember that. Yeah. See, that's memory insurance. And here's the point about pictures on a business card. Now, I'm going to be at the American Hair Loss Conference in Dallas. I'm doing another show in Chicago called Chicago in the next week or two. I am going to probably see at least 1,000 people come past my booth. And I'm going to collect a lot of business cards. Now, at the end of the day, I'm going to go up to my room and I'm going to look at those cards. I want to see who I might want to recontact with. I'm going to have a hard time remembering
Mhm.
who was who without their photo on that card.
Mhm.
That is the power of imagery,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
It creates a belief system. Now, what's really crazy, AI, right?
Yeah.
AI can make me look like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Snake Pitt, but I don't know about Brad Pitt. But, but my point being,
Yeah.
it's how do we receive messages, branding, photography, marketing, advertising. And those are the things that move our body, our brain, which moves our body
Mhm.
in the direction we want to go.
Absolutely. I don't know if you picked up on it, Joni, but he's mentioned when he was talking about branding, about trustworthiness and storytelling and branding and building trustworthiness only comes when you're consistent. And you've got to consistently say that brand positioning statement over and over in your head, and then you've got to translate it into your social, into your website, into your
Into your
business.
in-person marketing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be the same thing, but you need to have it in the elevator speech. You've got to be able to tell everybody in a matter of seconds what your brand is.
Yeah, I want to share this with you guys. It has been said that communication is an art. I'm here
Mhm.
to tell you it's not. It's a science.
It is.
I'm also here to tell you that marketing is a science. Now, when
Yes.
we talk about telling stories with consistency, and
Mhm.
I'll share a story with you, there's a major difference between frequency and frequently.
Mhm.
Frequency and frequently. So I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. And before I moved to Charlotte, I used to do a lot of hair shows. I would be traveling, 2, 3 weekends a month sometimes, and really scattered, but every weekend I was flying out. Well, I would always fly out on a Saturday. Now, and sometimes I would fly American Airlines, sometimes I'd fly Delta, sometimes old airlines like Continental, TWA, Southwest, right? I would fly different airlines every week. And I'd go to different cities every week. However, I always noticed when I got to the airport, Southwest Airlines was right next to where I could see. And there was this one guy. He was a big, tall guy, big, tall, blonde headed guy. And every Saturday I was in, on the Saturdays I was in, 5 o'clock, I'd see this guy checking in at Southwest. So it just happens this weekend, I'm flying to Houston. I'm doing a hair show and I'm flying out at 5 o'clock. So I go up to the counter and who walks up behind me but this guy? Now his name is Tom. I know who this guy is now. And so I struck up a conversation. I said, man, I see you here every time I come to fly out. I said, you're always over here at Southwest. He says, oh, yeah. He says, every week I work for an oil company. I fly from New Orleans to Houston, Texas. I fly the 5 o'clock flight on Southwest. I said, I'm going to Houston. Let's sit together. Southwest, you can sit anywhere you want. So we get on the plane and he sits down and I sit down next to him. And the flight attendant comes up to him and says, hey, Tom, I got one Amstel light beer left. Would you like it? He goes, oh, yeah. She looks at me and says, what do you want to drink? Now, here's the point. See, Tom flies every Saturday at 5 o'clock, the same flight, the same audience, the same flight attendant.
Mhm.
He flies frequency.
Mhm.
I fly frequently.
Mhm.
I'm in different places all the time. So marketing and communication and photography are a science. You can't just throw things out on the internet and go, oh, didn't work.
Yeah.
No, That's why you hire a pro, right? Listen, we can all do anything, but we cannot do everything.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Look, in today's world, I don't know anybody that doesn't have one of these. Now, can I take a picture? Yeah, but not like her.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. I don't have that skill. I can take a picture.
You
Might
take a
look
picture, but
good,
are
but
you posed? Is the lighting right? There's so much more that goes into it.
my point. And so that's why you hire a pro, right? It's worth every penny because the quality of the work that's being done. And again, let's take that photo. I'm going to use a photo. I might only do one headshot a year, right? Now I recommend every 6 months, but at a minimum, I do it once a year. Well, that photo is going to be on everything. That's my image. That's my perception. That's my story. People are going to look at it, right? And then when you're going to do that story, what is the character? How is the character going to dress for that photography, for that story? Now, I'll tell you a funny story here. I oftentimes speak at a lot of network events. And so I know a lot of people in networking. And a fellow came up to me one day and he said, man, he says, every time I see you at a network event, you're the only guy in a suit. Everybody else is dressed kind of casual. He says, why don't you ever dress casual? And I looked at him, I said, Bobby, if I wear my grass cutting pants, you won't hire me. See, perception, image is everything. And so when it comes to marketing and branding on the internet, number one, who is your specific target market, or as I say, bullseye market client? See, if you don't know who your ideal client is, well, it's just like throwing bait out in the water, hoping something swims along. But if you know exactly who your target, your bullseye on that target is, if you say, I want to catch a whale, you go to the ocean. You want to catch catfish, you go to Mississippi River, because you're not going to catch catfish in the ocean or whales in the river. You have to know who's your target market? Where do they hang out? What are the triggers in their life right now that will want to make them want to buy what I sell? And again, I'm from New Orleans. What's your special sauce? Why would they hire you? Yeah, why would they hire you over somebody else that does exactly what you do? And listen close. It's not your technical skills. That's expected. It's the emotion they take away from the results you produce. Well, I'll look at that photo. Well, I'll look at my marketing and go, oh God, I love my marketing. It looks cool, right?
When it helps you show up with confidence.
Yes.
It's confidence. It's confidence, right? Nobody wants to buy lack of confidence. And I talk about this all the time when I speak on communication. When we use words in communication, like what's it like? Well, it's kind of like,
Oh, no.
or sort of, well, it's sort of like.
Oh.
How about this one? No, they don't know, right? So kind of, sort of, you like, those words cannot be in my conversation because they create confusion. And a confused listener does not buy. Now, I keep saying buy. I want to stress here. It's not all about the money, because sometimes it's just about moving a conversation forward. So one of the 10 buying and selling insights that I created, and number 10 is every conversation must end with an offer. If your conversation does not end with an offer, why the heck were you speaking?
Yeah.
Right? And that offer could be, let's meet next week and follow up. Let me do some homework for you and I'll get back to you. Or would you like to go to dinner? Would you like to do this? Would you like to do that? That's an offer. But think about it, if there's no offer at the end, it's like, well, why were we talking? Even if the offer is, hey, let's catch up next week. That's an offer. And here's the powerful thing about communication. We are all in the communication and conversation business. We compete every day for the attention of our listeners. He or she who communicates best wins. Therefore, we must know what is important to the listener before we get up and speak. So a guy came to me one day and he said, hey, I know you. I said, okay, I didn't recognize him. He said, yeah, I know you. You're the speech coach. I looked back, I said, no, He said, no, 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 I know you. You are the speech coach. One. No. He said, well, don't you teach people to speak? I said, well, yes, I do. He said, well, you're the speech coach. I said, no. He said, well, what the hell are you? It's a communication coach. He looked at me and he said, speech communication is the same thing.
Oh, no,
No,
Words matter.
you got it. Right? I said, no, no, no. Let me explain something. Speaking is only half of the communication process, and it's the second half. Listening is the name of the game. You listen first. Therefore, when we speak and we're talking to people, we want to use words that that excite, that delight, that unite, that invite, and more importantly, ignite
Yes.
people to take a positive call to action, right? And basically, it's about what can I do to provide my clients and my listener with a better life. Always put the other person first. The great Zig Ziglar said, you'll get everything you want out of life if you just help enough other people get theirs, because they will raise you up. That's the power of communication. Marketing, Amanda, you know, marketing is an extension and a key part of communication.
Mhm.
Photography, well, we don't live in a black and white world. We live in a color world,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
And everything we're talking about here creates perception and image. Words create images. Images are crucial.
Yes.
Marketing creates images. Images are crucial. It's such a triad of don't even open your doors if you don't have it.
Yes.
What else you got?
Well, Glenn, thank you so much. Can you tell us a little bit about how people can get in touch with you if they would like to learn more?
Sure. First of all, I'm a really easy person to reach. I'm actually a guy who gives out his phone number, so they can call me or they can text me. Yeah, I know it's crazy to think about that. You know, my phone number. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
But it's always interesting because I find oftentimes someone says, "Okay, reach out to me." It's like, "Well, how can I get you?" "Oh, well, that's a secret." It's like, what? All right. So here's first. My phone number is real simple: 504-250-3969. Let me say it one more time: 504-250-3969. You can send me an email to Glenn, Glenn, at com, COMX as an X-ray, PERT.com. That's GLENN at BIZCOMXPERT.com. A couple of things I would share with you. I have different programs depending on a person's need. That's how I base the program. It's what do you need the most? And we work from there. And then I have a new program I'll be introducing in October, which is a speaker sales mastery program. I'm so excited about this program because this program is for individuals like Amanda or yourself. And what we're going to do with this is I'm going to show you how to take all that amazing technical skill that you have, all of your business that you've done, and I'm going to show you how to monetize that into absolutely crazy income by becoming a speaker, putting on events or speaking at events, and being able to share your skills and your talents with other people. And of course, they're going to pay you for it. So simply put, it's going to be how do you deliver value to your client and in turn create profit for you as an expert speaker. That starts in October.
That's exciting.
That
Oh
is,
yeah, I can't wait.
yeah.
Yes.
I already have about a half a dozen people who are signing up for the program, and they're like, "When can we start? When can we start?" It's like, hold on,
Yeah.
we're going to
Horses.
start
Yeah.
because when we hit the ground, we're going to hit the ground running. It's going to be amazing.
That's great.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, and I thank you both for having me on today. It is a pleasure to speak with such highly skilled and talented individuals. It's always a pleasure.
Thank
It
you
was
so much. It has been
Yes.
an absolute delight.
It has been. It's been our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Anytime you guys are ready, I'm always happy to come back and share.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much to our listeners.
Yes.
And as Glenn was talking about, we will have an assignment for you, so to speak, a call to action, if you will.
Yes. So please subscribe to our Click Brand Snap podcast so you can hear more interviews like Glenn's, insider tips, and much, much more.
And if you liked this episode, we would love a 5-star review.
Yes,
If you didn't love this episode,
it's okay.
it's okay. But
Yes.
you don't have to leave a review.
Please like and share our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and we'll be on YouTube as well.
All right. And thank you again for joining us for
Click Brand
Click.
Snap.
Click Brand Snap. All right. Thank you so much, Glenn.
Oh, that was fun. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
We
Awesome.
did it.
We
All
did.
right. You have,
One in a can.
we're gonna edit this part out, but you've already got half a dozen for your new program.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing I did, I spoke at a couple of network groups, and
Okay.
basically, at the end, and,
Yeah.
when I coach clients, one of the things I talk about is you build your presentation from the end, from the happily ever after.
Mhm.
And you work back to the start, right? So I knew that I wanted to bring that in. So of course, after I spoke and I said, I'm doing a speaker sales mastery course, people said, oh my God, could I learn to speak and communicate like you? It's like, yeah. I got a program. So it's going to be good. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Joni, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, girls, have an incredible rest of the day, and you know how to find me.